17 big box retailers which will disappear this year. Your favorite store might be on the verge of a shutdown. The retail landscape in the U.S. is currently experiencing a massive shakeup, which leads to many popular retail chains facing rapid decay and widespread closures. According to UBS, over 50,000 stores are at risk of closure. This could have far-reaching implications for America's economic landscape. Many retailers are resorting to extreme measures. So what are the challenges faced by the big retailers, and what are the retailers that will be disappearing in 2023? The first retailer is Amazon. Amazon has plans to close a number of Amazon Fresh Groceries and Amazon Go convenience stores. Furthermore, they would cut several jobs across the area of the business. The announcement, which was made during its fourth quarter earnings calls, came just a few weeks after Amazon said it will cut 18,000 jobs in certain areas of the business. Amazon is permanently closing 8 of its cashierless Amazon Go convenience stores in Seattle, San Francisco, and New York. Amazon has been tightening its retail prospect. The company paused an expansion of its line of Amazon Fresh Grocery stores in order to evaluate how to make the stores stand out and compete with mainstream supermarkets. Furthermore, Amazon has been hit with economic uncertainty and has moved to rein in costs. The second retailer is Big Lots. Big Lots offers a variety of products across several merchandise categories, such as mattresses, case goods, and ready-to-assemble departments. Big Lots cover the whole range of consumer products, including beverages, groceries, seasonal goods, and pet supplies. Furthermore, the company has soft home categories, including windows and home organization, area rugs, and other home decor. However, despite its massive products, Big Lots is struggling in recent years to maintain its profitability. Big Lots operates 1,425 stores in 48 states. However, hundreds of locations became unprofitable and may close soon. In May 2023, Big Lots CEO Jonathan Ramsden announced that Big Lots has plans to close its stores in the urban centers before the end of 2023, as retail experts are deeply concerned about the financial situation of Big Lots. On the 31st of January, the company reported a net loss of $210.7 million. The third retailer is Staples. The largest chain of office supply stores in the nation is run by Staples. Staples primarily caters to small business products at affordable pricing. The company operates a delivery company in addition to its retail operations. Staples used to have thousands and thousands of retail stores across the world. However, in recent years, Amazon and other online retailers have been able to offer cheaper and better pricing due to them not having physical retail locations. As a result, the company, Staples, has turned to operating distribution warehouses and establishing themselves as a mainly online presence. The fourth retailer is Sears. In the early 2000s, Sears had more than 3,500 stores. Furthermore, they had more than 350,000 employees and were the world's largest retailer in its peak days. However, today Sears has only 28 stores in the United States. In May, Sears announced another round of closures. The downfall of Sears has been playing out for many years. The retailer continuously closed its doors since it filed for bankruptcy in 2018. The company decided to sell off parts of itself to help generate income. However, the company wasn't able to make profits. Business analysts project that there will be no Sears stores left by the middle of 2023. This may look like the final year of Sears. The fifth retailer is Kmart. Kmart's decline has been slow but steady. This was brought about by years of falling sales, changing in shopping habits, and the looming shadow of Walmart, which coincidentally began its life within months of Kmart's founding in 1962. Kmart has struggled to compete with Walmart's low prices and Target's trendier offerings. Kmart filed for bankruptcy protection in early 2002, becoming the largest U.S. retailer to take that step and announce it. A few years later, hedge fund executive Edward Lambert combined Sears and Kmart and pledged to return to their former greatness. However, due to the rising dominance of Amazon, contributes to derailing those goals. Kmart once had 300,000 employees and more than 2,440 stores. As of December 28, 2022, Kmart had only 20 retail stores in the United States, 4 of which were in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Kmart will likely close down in 2023 if the U.S. ends up in a recession. The 6th retailer is Carvana. Carvana is an American online used car retailer headquartered in Tempe, Arizona. The company was the fastest-growing used vehicle retailer in the United States in 2019, with a revenue of $3.94 billion. Yet by 2022, the company reported almost $2.9 billion in net losses. Carvana had a great run during the pandemic. However, last November, the U.S. car retailers suffered a serious slowdown. Business Insiders reported that the company reported a huge loss of $508 million in the third quarter. This caused their shares to plummet by 50%. Carvana laid off 2,500 of their employees in 2022 to balance their sales volume and staffing level. Later in November, the retailer released another round of job cuts where 1,500 employees were laid off. By the end of 2022, Carvana had only $434 million in cash. Carvana is now put on a bankruptcy watch list following its low credit metrics, poor cash flow, and lack of profits. The 7th retailer is Party City. Party City continues to shrink its physical store footprint as part of the ongoing Chapter 11 bankruptcy case. The retailer is closing 9 additional stores after failing to reach agreements with landlords. A&G Real Estate Partners said last week that the party goods retailers filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in January, and it looks to shed leases as part of its reorganization. The retailer had announced that 22 stores would be closed in February. Furthermore, in January, they asked to be released from 28 other leases. So far, A&G have put 33 Party City stores up for auction. Dollar General. We go to the 8th retailer, which is Dollar General. While the company portrays its store chains as America's neighborhood general stores, the company is rapidly disappearing from U.S. cities. Dollar General recently confirmed it's closing several locations in California, Indiana, and Ohio. The reason may also be the catalyst that drives the entire chain into bankruptcy. Dollar General has been found in bad hands as the U.S. Departments of Labor, Occupational Safety and Health Administration have exposed the retailer. The reason being is unsafe working conditions of their employees. The U.S. Department inspected several locations and found many serious health violations. However, the retailer refused to correct this since 2017. This has led to OSHA issuing $15 million in fines and cited Dollar General in more than 180 inspections nationwide for their careless, repeat, and safety violations in the workplace. We proceed to the next retailer, Bed Bath & Beyond. The retailer was once one of the biggest home goods retailers. However, it had a rough year in 2022. It took the retailer closer and closer to bankruptcy. Over the past year, the company has closed 400 stores. It's laid off 20% of its corporate employees to save costs. Furthermore, the company has filed to stop all operations in Canada. Bed Bath & Beyond is stripping down its big blue signs, clearing out aisles of linen, and closing over 100 stores. The company filed for bankruptcy on April 2023, saying it will begin closing its remaining 360 Bed Bath & Beyond stores and 120 buybuy BABY locations. Albert First, Chief Operating Officer at Credit Intel, says Bed Bath & Beyond needs to get their sales strategy together ASAP if they want to make it another year. The 10th retailer is Equinox. This retailer is in big trouble. Why do we say this? Well, the company has been racking up huge rent debt and has not been making payments. This could result in the business closure. Furthermore, multiple landlords have sued the company for millions of dollars in unpaid rent over the past year. To add, the owner of 568 Broadway in Soho sued Equinox for $3.3 million in unpaid rent tax back in July, and if you think it ends there, you're wrong. The company has been hit with 2 separate lawsuits that were filed against them in February and October, respectively. The company refused to sign up new members in 2023, with rent problems piling up, multiple locations at risk of closing down, and with questionable business practices, it's only a matter of time before the company files for bankruptcy. The 11th retailer is GNC. GNC, once known as the vitamin and supplement store, the company filed for bankruptcy in 2020. They would further liquidate 1,400 stores. Over the years, GNC has been struggling as insiders predicted that their demise was due to the internet. The insiders say that because of smaller supplement brands coming online and social media places such as Facebook and Instagram, saying that influencers have been the demise of GNC. GNC is not making profits, and customers are not flocking to GNC locations. The company looks to close a lot of its stores in 2023. The 12th retailer is Bob's Discount Furniture. The retailer has struggled to keep up with the ever-fluctuating consumer spending. In the pandemic era, the preference of most buyers to stay at home increased the demand for home goods. So, like many retailers, Bob's Discount Furniture ramped up its inventory to meet the demand of the market. However, in 2022, the company was left with a surplus of unwanted products. This resulted in a financial impact on the company's profit. Although attempts to come back stronger after filing bankruptcy in 2017, the retailer faces another risk of a second bankruptcy. We go to the next retailer, the Mattress Firm. Mattress Firm parent Steinhoff is hoping the second time's the charm. Mattress Firm was taken private by Steinhoff for $3.8 billion in 2016. The retailer filed for bankruptcy in 2018 and emerged 1 month later after it shuttered nearly 700 stores. It initially filed for an initial public offering in January of 2022, but on January 9th of this year, Mattress Firm filed a request with the Securities and Exchange Commission to withdraw its IPO. The company owns $3.5 billion in liabilities. To make it worse, Mattress Firm was exposed. The company was involved in a massive $7.4 billion accounting scandal. Experts are predicting with poor financial conditions, it's highly unlikely that Mattress Firm can continue without filing for bankruptcy. Indeed, things are not going well for this retailer. We go to the 14th retailer, which is Dollar General. While the company portrays its store chains as America's neighborhood general stores, the company is rapidly disappearing from U.S. cities. Dollar General recently confirmed it's closing several locations in California, Indiana, and Ohio. The reason may also be the catalyst that drives the entire chain into bankruptcy. Dollar General has been found in bad ends as the U.S. Departments of Labor, Occupational Safety, and Health Administration have exposed the retailer. The reason being is unsafe working conditions of the employees. The U.S. Department inspected several locations and found many serious health violations. However, the retailer has refused to correct this since 2017. This has led OSHA to issuing $15 million in fines and cited Dollar General in more than 180 inspections nationwide for their careless, repeat, and safety violations in the workplace. The 15th retailer is the True Religion brand jeans. The retailer was a must-have for teenagers in the 2000s. However, in 2017, True Religion filed for bankruptcy. This was even after reducing its debt to a quarter of its pre-bankruptcy levels. This led to True Religion filing for bankruptcy again in 2020 because of the pandemic. The retailer had to close more than 90 stores across the U.S. The company said that bankruptcy was the only way to maximize value for shareholders and stay in business once stay-at-home orders are lifted and non-essential retailers can reopen. In 2023, the expectation is that True Religion will go under very soon. We head to the 16th, which is Board Riders. Board Rider experienced bankruptcy in 2015. However, it re-emerged from Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2016. Now the company is in a dire financial situation. According to Moody's data, it reveals that Board Riders have the highest rate of debt growth in 2022. The COVID pandemic and independent brands have pushed sales down even further, forcing the company to take on more debt to stay afloat. Now the company stores are considered unprofitable with over $700 million in liabilities. The company recently announced a layoff that affected 170 employees. This was an effort to reduce costs. Furthermore, board riders have legal battles with one of its lenders which could further affect their financial stability. We close the chapter with Rite Aid. In the spring of 2022, Rite Aid reported the closure of 145 stores and said that more locations are about to go dark in 2023. According to Forbes, the company said over 100 stores were underperforming for several quarters without providing a specific number. Furthermore, Rite Aid executives said the closing was meant to reduce costs significantly. Rite Aid reported a quarterly loss of more than $67 million in December 2022. Furthermore, it's now bracing for an even greater loss in 2023 due to underperformance. On March 4, 2023, Rite Aid reported a fiscal fourth-quarter loss of $241.3 million as the drugstore chain suffered a loss of revenue. Many retailers are struggling to stay afloat in this economic turmoil as the shutdowns drag on and stores end up closing. So what is next for top retailers?